Of all the new and terrible weapons fielded during the American Civil War, the .58 caliber Minie ball was by far the most deadly. Its fearsome killing power and unprecedented accuracy is believed to have caused up to 90% of battlefield casualties during the war. To facilitate rapid reloading, the Minie ball was commonly used in a paper cartridge. A good soldier, it was said, was able to fire 3 aimed shots in a minute using cartridges of this type. In this video, we'll go over the historical process of constructing authentic paper cartridges for .58 caliber rifles. In the kit, I've provided you with the following: 20 .58 caliber Minie balls, gauged to .575, to fit down the barrel of your rifle musket. You'll need to lubricate your Minie balls before assembling them into cartridges. Though there are many different types of lubricant on the market, I recommend the original 1861 recipe of 8 parts beeswax, 1 part mutton tallow. Whichever recipe you choose, be sure that there's only lubricant in the grease grooves and not within the hollow base of the bullet. This could contaminate your charge of gunpowder during loading. 50 trapezoidal musket papers. The kit only calls for 42 to be used, but I included extras just in case you need to scrap a few. 1 .58 caliber dowel rod, rounded on one edge. This is your forming rod. 10 feet of 5-strand flax cord, intended to be split into its individual strands before using. 1 square wooden choking cord assembly. 2 sheets of brown paper with arsenal stamps to bundle your completed rounds. There are a few common items you'll need that I haven't provided in the kit. A set of scissors to cut the cord and excess paper. A non-metallic basin to measure gunpowder over. Gunpowder, a funnel, and a powder measure. While most black powder substitutes are safe to use in your reproduction musket, I'd recommend you stick either to 2 or 3F black powder to stay historical. A C-clamp, or other clamp, to secure your choking cord assembly to the table. Now that you've collected your equipment and materials, it's time to find a suitable workstation. I recommend working on a clean, level, non-metallic table away from heat or flame. Take your clamp and secure the choking cord assembly to the edge of the table. If you're right-handed, the cord should extend to your right. If you're left-handed, reverse the directions of these instructions. It's a good idea to prepare your twine at this point. Cut your twine into 8 6-inch sections. Untwist the sections into their 5 individual strands. Having your twine cut and separated will streamline the rolling process. There are 2 general methods you can use to roll cartridges. The first is based off the instructions in the 1861 U.S. Army Ordnance Manual. Begin by placing your forming rod atop of one of your trapezoids. The trapezoid should be positioned so that the acute angle is facing down and to the right, and the long edge is to the left. The former should be placed along the bottom of the paper, the rounded end about 1/3 of an inch from the left side of the trapezoid. Turn the former so as to envelop it with the paper. Next, take the former in the left hand, and with the choking cord in your right hand, take 1 turn around the cylinder, 1/3 of an inch from the open end. Push into the open end of the cylinder with the index finger of your left hand, and draw gently on the cord, choking the cartridge tube shut. Using one of your 6-inch single strands of flax cord, tie the choked end tightly shut using 2 turns and a half hitch. Cut the excess twine. You should end up with a neat cylinder. Place a .58 cal Minie ball atop your forming dowel so that the choked and tied off end of the trapezoid rests inside the hollow base of the bullet. Lay another paper trapezoid on the table in the same manner as before, and place the forming dowel and bullet along its bottom edge. Ensure that the nose of the bullet is 1/3 of an inch away from the left edge of the trapezoid. Turn the former to wrap the second paper around the bullet and former as before. Choke and tie the end of the cartridge as you did with the last trapezoid, and cut off the excess string. Here's the second, quicker method. The process is mostly identical to the previous one described. However, you'll roll your trapezoids into cylinders, choke and tie all of the ends off, and do that with all of your cartridge papers, rather than rolling up a bullet into another trapezoid. You should end up with 50 cylinders. Now take a cylinder and drop your projectile nose first into the choked bottom. Then slide another cylinder onto your former and insert it into the top of the first cylinder, which contains your mini ball. Ensure that the second cylinder is rammed completely down the first and the choked end is sitting inside the skirt of the Mini. Whichever of the above methods you choose, you should end up with 20 cartridges, open on one end and ready to receive a charge of black powder. Now it's time to fill your cartridges. You can use your choking cord assembly as a stand to keep your rounds vertical and steady while you fill them. The measurement of powder varied between 60 and 65 grains throughout the Civil War. I usually fill mine with 60 grains of 2F GoEx powder. I recommend you do the same, if only because the Arsenal stamp on the wrapper contained in the kit reads 60 grains M powder. To fold your cartridges closed, begin by giving the round a few taps on the table to level the powder out. You can use the flat end of your former to pack it if you want. Pinch the tip of the round above the black powder. Ensure that the seam is facing toward you. Make a fold above the powder toward the seam, leaving the top of the cartridge perpendicular to the powder charge. Fold the edges upward and in on themselves to create two wings. By doing this, you should also be packing the powder tight within the tube. Fold the paper part back toward you, over the top of the cartridge, and then down the side, tucking the excess into the crease. It may take a few rounds of practice before you can produce a crisp, neat-looking round. Fill and fold all 20 of your cartridges, then secure your black powder and clean your workstation of any stray grains. 12 percussion caps were usually packed along with 10 rounds. Roll and choke 2 extra cartridge cylinders in the same manner as before. Place in each tube 12 percussion caps and fold the top closed. One of these percussion cap tubes is bundled along with 10 rounds. Stack the rounds in 2 rows of 5 atop one of your brown Arsenal wrappers, alternating the direction of the ball. Ensure that the stamp is facing downward toward the table. Fold the 2 edges of the wrapper inward, wrapping the cartridges up as you would a Christmas present. Then tie closed with your twine, cutting off excess paper or string as needed. You now have your complete product. Ammunition was issued to the Civil War infantryman in this fashion. He would have stuffed his cartridge box, his haversack, or even his pockets with bundles of cartridges like this, tearing them open feverishly as the sounds of battle rolled closer to his unit's colors. I hope you enjoyed this unique experience of rolling paper cartridges as much as I have.